Here now. Same old thing.
Trigger warning.
On January 24th, ex-Fox News talking head and possible future U.S. Vice President Tucker Carlson came to speak at the TELUS Convention Center in Calgary, joined by Alberta Premiere Danielle Smith, disgraced former Professor Jordan Peterson, criminal newspaper monopolist Conrad Black, and local wealthy dude bro Brett Wilson, owner of this hoodie. For those who don't know, Tucker Carlson inherited a massive amount of wealth from his stepmom Patricia Swanson, heiress to the Swanson frozen dinner fortune.
Moist, tender Swanson turkey with grand giblet gravy.
He's also the son of Dick Carlson, former Republican diplomat, lobbyist, and one-time director of Voice of America, the state-owned news network responsible for American propaganda operations abroad, and mouthpiece for the CIA. Tucker himself applied to join the CIA after college, but was rejected, spurring him to take his passion for political meddling to the sphere of dogshit pseudo-journalism. Some of Tucker's blazing hot takes over the years include the following. Iraqi people are primitive monkeys. Trans people are a cancer. Women are primitive. White supremacy is not a real problem. Immigrants make America dirty. And teachers who talk about gender identity should be beaten up. He's also lied on air to millions of people about COVID vaccines and election fraud, and is currently in the business of manufacturing consent for an American war on China. So, with thousands of Calgarians paying upwards of $200 a ticket to see this guy talk, I thought I'd see what all the fuss was about. Luckily, the whole thing was uploaded to YouTube by Rebel News, the same people who made this ad campaign to deport people who support Palestine. Without further ado, here's a condensed version of Tucker's speech.
Holy smokes! That's my friend Kid Rock. Al-freakin Berta, baby. You should dislike and resist Justin Trudeau and his government to the maximum extent of your ability. This is a destruction of you and your culture and your beliefs and your children and your future as a country. But if someone's giving fentanyl to your children without telling you, they're trying to kill your children. If you're killing 50,000 of your citizens, if the government is doing that through the MAID program, what is that? Yeah, it's genocide. That's exactly what it is. But more than anything, you should internalize the message of that, which is they hate me. They hate me to the point they're willing to kill me, which they are. Oh, you're going to take my kids away because I don't want to castrate them.
Well, that was fun. Honestly, this was barely scratching the surface of all the f***ed up stuff he was saying, so I'm thinking of doing a full fact check of the speech and uploading it to my Patreon at patreon.com/leafblowermedia. Drop me a comment if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. As of this recording, the section of Danielle Smith talking to Tucker has not been uploaded, but from what I know, this bit was significantly less spicy, other than Smith announcing a commitment to double Alberta oil production.
So I think we should just double down and decide we're going to double our oil and gas production.
Again, we couldn't afford the $273 ticket to attend, but after the talk, we hung out outside to see what audience members thought.
My story is, I got a very bad car crash here in Alberta because I took driver. I suffered from traumatic brain injury. I do comedy now, so that's good.
Cool.
What's the question again? Brain injury.
Yeah, what did you think of the talk?
Interesting. I think it's good in a sense, but maybe bad in if you're trans.
It was great. Tucker's coming up here, I say, and he's coming to liberate us. You know, it was all rational stuff.
Liberate us from what, you think?
Oh, well, there's a little bit of tyrannical stuff that happens in Canada, so we don't have freedom of speech, trucker convoy, that kind of stuff.
That was great. I mean, Tucker's realizing there's a culture war and it affects everywhere in the world, and you know, it's really important that we come and support causes like this, because a lot of the money is going towards a municipal war chest to get rid of Gondak and a few others.
And you want to get rid of Gondak?
She's an absolute Marxist. I care more about you in your life living here than I do about, you know, somebody in some other foreign country. I'm just sick of our money going to foreign nations, and that's one of the things that Tucker talks about, which I agree. I'm a separatist. I don't think Canada works.
I can't say enough. That was well worth the money to get into. I believe that all Albertans really should wake up. All Canada should wake up. The world should wake up to see what's happening. We are traveling down a really slippery, awful slope with not being able to speak our truths.
So what are some of your truths?
Freedom. It's the age of Aquarian. It should be the time of love.
So why does any of this matter? We all have freedom of speech, right? Well, some of us do. Despite Tucker's claim to the contrary, wealthy conservative people do have freedom of speech in this country. Mr. Carlson was able to cross the border and sell out a convention center to state his beliefs, despite those beliefs being dangerous and wrong. And a bunch of mainstream media outlets were there to report on it. They're right, though. Tucker's speech wasn't free. He was paid to be here. More specifically, Brett Wilson, who has made buttloads upon buttloads of money financing oil companies, brought him here. When asked, he claimed that it was all for a bit of fun.
Well, the folks that hated the event thought it was all about politics. But let's be clear, it was all about fun.
Brett, if you're listening to this, have you ever tried pickleball? As mentioned, there's a very real chance that this racist toupee model could join Donald Trump as the next vice president of the United States. And since Tucker's visit, Premier Smith has publicly redeclared allyship with the US. My opinion is that this CIA wannabe propagandist is doing what the CIA does best, using media influence and populist politics to destabilize governments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's an entire Wikipedia page on the subject with 71 examples. By joining the UN resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, the Trudeau government has distanced itself somewhat from US imperialism, though they're still selling weapons to Israel. It may sound extreme, but when some of the most powerful Albertans are talking about war rooms, war chests, and culture wars, maybe we should take them seriously. In 2018, Brett Wilson tweeted about hanging pipeline protesters for treason. But according to the Canadian Criminal Code, conspiring to use force to overthrow a government actually is treason. Have we forgotten that only a year ago Tucker Carlson said this?
Why should we stand back and let our biggest trading partner, the country with which we share the longest border, why should we let it become Cuba? Like, why don't we liberate it? We're spending all this money to liberate Ukraine from the Russians. Why are we not sending an armed force north to liberate Canada from Trudeau? And I mean it.
Again, I'm all in favor of freedom of speech. And I definitely don't think we should be hanging anybody. But to dismiss these guys as a bunch of privileged edgelords, while true, is to ignore the massive power they wield in shifting the social consciousness further and further towards actual real-life fascism. This shit is real and getting realer, and it's more important than ever that reasonable people start waking up, speaking up, and showing up. Thanks for watching.
You know, conservative like me, well, he's a racist homophobe. That's the first thing you go to, right?